If you haven't read the book Orson Scott Card's The Hegemon, is a great book. Highly recommend it. It is a work of science fiction. It's not, grounded in reality, but I think that if you haven't read it and you're interested in, understanding how often authors, artists, poets seem to be able to foretell the future, it's a good read. So take a read at it if you want to. It's called the Orson Scott Card's The Hegemon. I'm just going to play a few more words of Carney here, but I just wanted to point out this use of the word hegemony, and we see that in the news cycle is starting to pick up now that Carney has started using it actually on the global stage from the mouth of a real world leader. We're seeing it start to come out into the news cycles a little bit more as well. Let me go back here, and I'm just going to rewind just a little bit, and let's just hear a few more words of this.
This fiction was useful. An American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So
he's talking about how good the hegemony was right here.
In the window. We participated in the rituals, and we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality.
And I want to point out where he's saying that we participated, because he's talking about a merchant hanging the sign in the window in Germany to just kind of go along with stuff. And he's talking about how we, Canada and the rest of the world participated in this hegemonic expansion because they found that it was beneficial and good, and now obviously they're kind of like re-looking at things a little bit. So let's hear some more.
This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance.
So when he's using the word a rupture and not a transition, the contrast between those two words is Plutonic. Rupture is a what we think of as transformation, right? And a transition is something that's slower, right? Let's hear that just again, what he says.
Of a rupture, not a transition.
Right? Of a rupture, not a transition. So something that he's talking about, the contrast that he's talking about is something that's almost more explosive, instantaneous. It's like a bubble bursting, as opposed to a process that is moving things in a new direction.
Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health.
A series of crises in finance and health. Crises is another Plutonic word.
Energy and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as
coercion, vulnerability. These are all very Pluto-oriented themes. So we're seeing it happen in real time here.
You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
That's just too, I got to replay that again for you. Let's just listen to that one again. I've listened to this talk several times already. It's just, if you haven't listened to this whole talk, I highly recommend watching and listening to this whole talk. We have not seen anything like this on the world stage in my lifetime, in the reframing and the reorientation of the way that a world leader is actually posturing themselves. A world leader in terms of an ally to the NATO, the United Nations kinds of stuff. Obviously, we have world leaders that posture in all kinds of ways, but we're talking about the Prime Minister of Canada here. So let's just listen. I just rewind just a second here.
You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
When integration becomes the source of your subordination. Integration becomes the source of your subordination. And we just got to go back to that Star Wars themes, right? Let's just go back there for just a second here. Let's watch this. Integration becomes the source of your subordination, right? When integration becomes the source of your subordination. Think about what's going on in Minneapolis. Those words are powerful. When integration becomes the source of your subordination, right? Go back over here to Minneapolis.
Restore law and order to the streets.
We are seeing integration.
That's likely how it's going to be framed.
In real time,
point out from what John and I saw here on the ground,
being the source of subordination.
What happened was the federal government shot and killed another U.S. citizen. Shot and killed one of its own citizens.
Jordan.
This is integration becoming the source of subordination right here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is powerful stuff, you know. Let's go back to Carney, just listen to a few more words. I think it's such a powerful speech.
The multilateral institutions on which the middle powers have relied, the WTO, the UN, the COP, the architecture, the very architecture of collective problem solving are under threat.
Problem solving. The architecture, that's a Saturnian theme. So he's talking, so he's, you know, when we look at this whole speech, when you listen to it, it's almost like it was written by an astrologer. I mean, it's wild. I definitely recommend listening to the entire thing. Now I'm going to flip over here to just a few minutes of a newscast, and then we're going to move into some of the more talking about the nodes and Pluto and stuff like this. But I think all this is really good setup. You know, this is really good, important this is setting up what's going on in the astrology. We're seeing the real world play out of what I want to talk about here in a minute, astrologically.
They're concerned that our allies look at us and say, we lack the self-correcting mechanism that we thought they had.
But
We
Trump
lack
would
the self-correcting
argue
mechanism.
These allies have nowhere to go. Even if we were an A+ before, if we're an A- now, you still have to stick with us. We're the biggest and the
Wait a
best.
second.
So
You're
I
hearing
think
it, but you're
that's
not
what
seeing
made
it.
the Mark Carney speech.
Let me flip this over here. Yeah, there you go. I'm not going to rewind because you heard it, but here, let me just keep playing it from here.
When he stepped forward and said, we have to start thinking about other ways. If you notice, Carney went to China. You know who else went to China? And I don't know if he went or it was announced, was the Prime Minister of England's going to China.
Carney goes to China. Prime Minister goes to China.
You asked me about...
So that's we didn't get that to the part in Carney's speech because there was, you know, it was starting to lull a little bit in its excitement, and it wasn't specifically relevant to what I was talking about. But Carney went to China and got himself his own individual trade deal with China over electric vehicles for Canada without working or coordinating with the United States. And now what they're reporting here is that the Prime Minister of England is doing the same. We're going to see the leaders of countries all over start doing this. And why I'm pointing this out is because in the rise of the theme of the hegemon, the Pluto-oriented themes that I'm talking about, this is not something that is specific to the U.S. It's not specific to the president of the U.S. It's not specific to the country of the U.S. This is a global phenomenon. You know, one of the things I did as I looked back at the European Union and the formation of the European Union, I think that I put that on one of the videos. If not, I'll go back and check the videos to make sure that one got published. But I did an analysis of the formation of the European Union on relative to this Pluto nodal axis and how it's playing into the overall world themes. Like I remember, like when I was growing up, the European Union didn't exist, right? It became formed in 1993, and that itself is a hegemonic expression. When we see the formation of the United States hundreds of years ago is a hegemonic expression. It's the aggregation of power, the transformation of power, moving power from old to new and new into an aggregated experience. So let's listen to some more of this just for a minute.
The economic part of it, I'll also give you, if we're going to reign in China, it's going to be together. We're not sure we have those allies because now they're saying, I got to do a deal with America and with China. I'm not going to let America take the lead on the deal.
See, I got to do a deal with America and with China. So this is the arising of two powers that are going to be competing as opposed to a diversity of power. So the hegemonic experience, the hegemonic expression is more and more consolidation and making fewer and fewer choices around governance. Just a few more words here.
Deal of reigning in Chinese security.